Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Measured Tones Institute of Quran with our newest video, Types of Mistakes in Tajweed, Part 1. So let's get started right away. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, as-salatu was-salamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una, wa anfa'na bima 'allamtana, wa zidna ilman wa amalan mutaqabbalan, ya arhamar rahimin. Let's get started. So there are two types of mistakes, two main types of mistakes in Tajweed. The first one is the clear mistake, which is considered to be a major mistake. So this type of mistake, if a person does it, they're considered to be sinful. Therefore, they should take it upon themselves to correct that mistake as soon as possible. And I'll give you a tip on how to do that at the end of this video, inshallah. The next type of mistake is the hidden mistake, which is considered to be minor mistake, and this one requires a little more mastery, if you will, a little more studying under your belt in order to detect it. Whereas the major mistake or the clear mistake, this one, I mean, just no level of mastery is needed, right? It's just like, okay, you're looking at the Mus'haf, the person's reading, they're saying one thing, clearly there's something else in the Quran. It's as clear as day, right in your face, you just can't miss it. Whereas the hidden one's a lot more detailed and intricate, and you have to have studied to a certain level in order to detect it. All right, so for those who are interested in knowing what they are in Arabic within the science of Tajweed, they're called al-lahnul jali and al-lahnul khafi, and sometimes Quran competitions will use these two categories to judge, reciters and so on. So anyway, al-lahn basically just means a mistake or an error, and then jaliyun means clear, apparent, whereas khafi means hidden. All right, so we will only be covering al-lahnul jali in this video. So let's get to it. I put together 10 reading mistakes that are considered to be major. Number 1, switching letters. So in this particular ayah in Surah Al-Fatiha, ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, right? Clearly, as-sirat here is a sad. Many people will pronounce this sad as a what? As a sin. Understandable to a degree, but once you find out, or once you realize that you're doing that, it's very important to make that distinction. Clearly, this is not a sin, but it is a sad. And then we have the ta. A lot of people will say as-sirata, and they'll pronounce that ta as a ta. Again, once someone brings that to your attention, you are to fix it right away without delay, because clearly it is not a ta. As-sirata instead of as-sirata. And then finally, the ta, a lot of people will pronounce that as a ta. They swap it out, right? Clearly, that is not a ta. So it's not al-mustaqim, it's al-mustaqim. And even now that I think about it, the qaf as well, a lot of people will say it like a kaf. So anyway, instead of saying ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, which is very, very, very common, we say ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. And you can learn more about the proper recitation of Al-Fatiha in a ayah by ayah breakdown on my YouTube channel or the Facebook page, inshallah. All right, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is replacing a voweled letter with a sukoon. So what do I mean by that? Here in this ayah we have الذي جمع مالا وعدده, right? So some people will say الذي جمع instead of jama'a. I get a lot of students that do that. They'll put a sukoon where there's actually a fatha or a kasra or a dhamma. So we have to be very mindful of these types of mistakes, and when they come to our attention, we need to fix them. All right, that's number 2, replacing a voweled letter with sukoon. Number 3, replacing a sukoon with a vowel. So doing the opposite, right? So here in this ayah, صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. Here on this noon, we have a sukoon. Can't miss it, right? But despite that, some people will say صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم أنعمت عليهم instead of أنعمت, right? Noon is not a letter of qalqala. or a bouncing letter. So therefore, when we apply the sukoon to it, we say it fully without bouncing, pressing down and then releasing. An'amta. But don't hold it too long either. Not an'amta. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. Okay? So replacing a sukoon with a vowel. That is considered a major mistake. Alright, moving on. Stretching a vowel beyond its limit. So in this ayah, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. It's a very, very, very common mistake to stretch this dal and say na'budu wa iyyaka. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people stretch the dal. Right, one of the most common mistakes in Surah Al-Fatiha. So instead of na'budu wa iyyaka, it's iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. So one way you can practice that is na'budu wa na'budu wa na'budu wa. Do like that and repeat it. Na'budu wa na'budu wa na'budu wa. Right? Record yourself saying ayah 5 and see if you're stretching it or not. If you are, then do that exercise. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Alright, so stretching a vowel beyond its limit. That should only be one beat. Don't make it 2, 4, or more. Continuing on, number 5, skipping a letter of elongation. So what are the letters of elongation? For those of you that don't know, it is alif, waw, or ya. So here we have the elongating waw. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Some people say lam yalid wa lam yulad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Not pronouncing that wow, not stretching the sound of the ya dhamma. Okay, so need to be mindful of that. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. 2 beats, no more, just 2 beats. All right, continuing on, number 6, not applying a shaddah. Right, so here on this ya and this ya, you notice I'm using a lot of examples from Surah Al-Fatiha because a lot of these mistakes are made in Surah Al-Fatiha, which is the easiest surah for all of us, the most famous of them. So anyway, here we have this ya, and they both clearly have shaddahs over them. But despite that, a lot of people will say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. So we want to be mindful of that. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And we know that a shaddah over a letter is basically meaning that it's 2 of that letter. So a letter with shaddah is double the letter. It's a double letter, right? That's why some people call it a double letter. So when you remove the shaddah, you're removing a letter. You're removing an entire letter. So keep that in mind. Moving on, number 7, misplacing a shaddah, meaning that you're putting it where it doesn't belong. So here in this ayah, لا تسمع فيها لاغية. So some people will say لاغية, لا تسمع فيها, and they'll say لاغية when that's wrong. It's لاغية. Clearly you see that there is no shaddah there. So we should not apply a shaddah. Despite that, this error is made a lot. Alright, continuing on, number 8, switching vowels, or basically saying the wrong vowel. So you have a dhamma but you say fatha instead, or vice versa, and so on and so forth. So here in this ayah, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ, you get some people saying فَلْيَعْبَدُوا, فَلْيَعْبَدُوا, putting a fatha over the ba when clearly here there is a dhamma on this ba. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا. So that is also considered a major mistake. Moving on, number 9, adding an extra letter or word, or letters or words. So clearly we see here there is no wow, yet you will get some people that will say وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, when clearly there is no wow there. That's considered major because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not put a wow there and you added one there yourself. It was a mistake, okay, be that as it may. It's considered major. Once someone calls it to your attention, it is your duty, or it's our duty, if we make the mistake, it is our duty to fix it right away. All right. And last but not least, number 10, leaving out a letter or a word, or letters or words. Okay. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِن قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. we clearly have a vowel here, right? Which is probably why some people get things mixed up. So we have a vowel here. So if you said الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ without the vowel, that is leaving a letter out, which is basically leaving a word out in this particular case. So that is considered a major mistake as well. And we have many, many, many examples that can be given, but these are the 10 that I put together. All right. So that said, one way that you can rid yourself of continuing to make this kind of mistake, major mistakes, or even the minor mistakes, is to recite the ayah in question over and over and over and over again to the point where to the point that you flush out the mistake, right? Otherwise, you won't be able to flush it out. If you just say it once or twice, and you're trying to say it from memory without looking, no, you gotta look. You gotta look at it and read it over and over and over again until you completely flush it out of your brain and replace it with the correct way of reciting that particular ayah or a word or whatever it is that you're struggling with. Okay, and it also helps to listen to it over and over and over again. In addition to that, if the reading alone doesn't help. All right, so that's that. And inshallah, the next video will be talking about the hidden mistakes. Inshallah ta'ala. So if you have any questions, you can contact me directly or leave a comment or something. It's up to you. All right. So alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa imam al-mursalin sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.